So the first thing that we should note is I'm going to look at the base price and the base models for, as I understand them, for the Pleasure Way Ascent and the Roadtrek SS Agile. So the first thing is the Ascent, as you can see here, it starts a base price at 129,000. Basically, it's 129,155. And for the Roadtrek, the base model starts, oops, let me erase that. It starts at 126,978, basically 127. So the Ascent already is $2,000 more expensive. However, you do get a lot more you do get a lot more standard components and equipment on the Ascent that I believe makes up for the $2,000 difference. The other thing to know is Pleasure Way, unlike Roadtrek, does not offer a lot of different option packages. Roadtrek is known for that, and it's great, and that's one of the things that they really like doing, is providing a lot of different packages that you can buy that have different sets of options in them. Pleasure Way's somewhat the opposite. They like a very simplified pricing and a very simplified product. So what you'll see is the Ascent has most of the options already in, and that's included in the price. You have certain things that you can change in the Ascent, like your interior fit and finish. So the type of cabinetry, the color of the cabinetry, the color of your couch, things like that. But other than that, all the other components generally are already upgraded in the Ascent. From the exterior, stylistically, if you look at the Ascent and the SS Agile from Roadtrek, they're very similar. So here's a picture of the Ascent. You can see it's on the short Sprinter from Mercedes. And this is the same unit from Roadtrek. So I tried to find them in the same color. This is the champagne color. Very minor differences. They both have the awning on the passenger side, the tinted windows, the porch light. There are some minor differences, namely if you look here on the Roadtrek, you'll see down here, this area is different. It's more streamlined on the Roadtrek, so they don't have any of the steps at the bottom. There's a retractable step right here that comes in and out on the Roadtrek for that door. And on the Pleasure Way, as you'll see here, they don't have that here. So it's built in basically, so there's no mechanical step that goes in and out. So I had a Roadtrek that had the other design that you just saw, that had this design with the step over here, and I did not like it. That was just my preference. At first I liked it. I thought, oh, this is really cool. But as some of you know, my philosophy with these things are the less components that you don't need, the better. And in this case, this electric step went out on me. Within the first year, it went out on me on the Roadtrek. There could be an anomaly. It could just be I got a defective one. But the fact is, I found that the step on the Ascent, since it's always there, it's just much easier, and I obviously haven't had any problems with it. Now, one thing to know on the Ascent is, because it sticks down a little lower down here and it's always there, this can, and I have, scraped it on curbs. So you need to use your rear view mirrors here, the lower part, which is a parabolic mirror, and it gives you a really wide angle view of what's below where your wheels are and to the back of your unit. I use that now quite a bit to just make sure that I'm far enough away from the curb. It's not a big deal. I can buff it out with some stuff. I'm sure you don't really notice it, but it is something to consider. On the Roadtrek with the step that automatically retracted, I also had the same problem, by the way, here. Where the step, when I tried to extend the step because I was parked next to the curb, it would just run into the curb, so it got dented up as well. So just some things to consider. I personally like the look of the Ascent. That's just my opinion. I just like the look of the Ascent, especially on the bottom kind of quarter panels down here. This just looks a little strange to me, but that's just an aesthetic. The Roadtrek does use this really nice trim here, you can see, This is aftermarket. You can't really see it here, but it's a chrome trim and it goes all the way across. And it gives it a more of an automotive feel. And the Ascent doesn't have it. You can buy it from Mercedes as an aftermarket kit and stick it on there yourself. I haven't done it, but you can do that. The only other difference between the two is if you notice on the headlights here on the Pleasure Way, they use the standard Sprinter headlights, and on the Roadtrek, they upgrade to what's called the Bi-Xenon headlights. So these are they're a little cleaner looking, the light's a little brighter, things like that. They're nice, there's no doubt. I don't know if it's really that big of a deal. I haven't noticed driving that there's really much of any difference between the two when I'm driving. But I think it's important to point out that they have upgraded on the Roadtrek, they have upgraded the headlights. Other than that, when I look at the units, they are pretty similar in my book, right? Let's take a look at the interior design and layout of each unit. Here we're looking at the Pleasure Way Ascent. And what you'll see with both the units is they seem at first glance to be very similar. So this is the Pleasure Way Ascent, and this is the Roadtrek SS Agile. But there are some pretty big differences between these two layouts, and I want to point them out so that you understand how each one meets needs differently. So let's go back to the Ascent. So on the Ascent, you have a configuration very similar to the Roadtrek in the sense that you have your bedroom and your lounge in the back with a rear bench seat that folds down into a bed. You have your midsection, which generally has your galley on one side and your bathroom on the other. And you have your front driving section. So 3 zones in it. In both the Ascent and the SS Agile, you'll see that the designs call for having one whole side of the unit open. So in the case of the Ascent, the entire front to back on the passenger side is open. What I mean by that is if you're sitting in the passenger seat and you look backwards toward the back, there's nothing that obstructs your view. You can see all the way straight back to the back. If we look on the Roadtrek, it's the same, except it's behind the driver's seat. All right, so it's completely open from the driver's seat all the way back. Now, this is the first difference between the two layouts. You'll get people on both sides of the camp, no pun intended, that prefer having the kitchen and ergo the openness on one side versus the other. Now, I've had both. I've had it where my kitchen's behind the driver's seat, and I've had it now with the Ascent where the kitchen is behind the passenger seat. My preference is to have it behind, to have the openness behind the passenger seat. And the reason for that is when I'm driving, I can look over here and I can see very easily a very clear line of sight all the way back over here for any traffic that might be coming along the passenger side. Now I have, some people will say the same thing on the Roadtrek. They'll say, well, I like the Roadtrek because from anywhere along the driver's side, I have a clear view. I can see all the way out. And that's great, but it's just for me when I'm driving, when I'm on the driver's side here, I've got my rear view mirror. I can see over here much better than looking all the way across the van and trying to see what cars that I'm passing on the right-hand side. I just prefer to have it open behind the passenger seat. I find it safer when I'm driving. The other thing I like is when I come in from the outside on the Roadtrek, I get hit immediately with this floor-to-ceiling wall here. Okay, now the nice thing is I'm looking on the Roadtrek into an area over here which is all glass and all windows. But I do get hit with a floor-to-ceiling wall right here as soon as I come in. And on the Pleasure Way, you can see when I come in, it's completely open all through here. So I have and it's on, this is all open here too. So I have it feels much bigger. Now I do have here, and I don't see out for this part right here, because that's the bathroom and that's the refrigerator. But the rest of this I do see out. So, and I see out over here. So when I walk in, it feels a lot bigger to me, just because I'm not hit right here when I first come in with a wall that hits me. Okay, so that's the first big difference and change between the two. It seems minor, but you really need to go and look at each one and see which one that you like. The second big change between the two units is in the rear area, the lounge back here. Okay, so you can see on the Pleasure Way here, there's two seat belts here and here. These are shoulder seat belts, and there's no seat belt in the middle. So you can seat two people in the back with shoulder seat belts, and that's it. However, these seats, these are actually open seats here and here. And so when you put the table here, you can actually have 5 people sitting around the table. And I use that all the time when we go out with family or friends. I can't tell you how often that I use this setup. It's really nice. You have windows here, full glass windows here, and full glass windows, and it just feels like you're sitting in a tree house. It's really pleasant. Plus there's a screen back in the back window if you want to fling the back doors open. It's very open. It's very pleasant. I like it. It works for me. Let's take a look now at the Roadtrek. The Roadtrek has very similar lounge in the back, as you can see, but this whole seat here is unusable because there's a full wardrobe that drops down from the ceiling all the way down to that cushion underneath. So that's not a usable seat. This is kind of over here. It's a little bit shorter, but you can use it. So you can get 4 people in the back, right? But not 5. I like having this extra seat up here personally. The other thing that's different is that the Roadtrek offers an extra seat belt for the middle seat here. It's not a shoulder seat belt, it is a lap seat belt, but it does mean that you can have 5 passengers seat belted in, whereas the Pleasure Way can have 4. So if it means a lot to you to have that middle seat with a seat belt, then that's something to consider. What the Roadtrek does do really well, I think, is they utilize this front section. They make it into a usable section of the RV by incorporating this table that you see in the front. It folds out from the kitchen, this table, and because these 2 seats swivel, you have a little lounge area in the front. I also had that on my other Roadtrek. Now I'm here to tell you, you need to try it yourself. This is an example for me personally. Some people who own the Roadtrek swear by this, but for me, I really never used the front table when I had it. And the reason is it looks nice here, but in practice, it's not very practical. It's a little bit flimsy. It's hard to move around and get around. And it's really only set up for 2 people. Again, my use case was usually when we're eating inside the van, it's a family affair and there's more than 2 of us. There's at least 3 of us because of my daughter. And so this front setup would rarely, if ever, get used for me. I never used it. So I preferred having the configuration of the Pleasure Way where I could have more people sitting in the back. But if it's just 2 of you, certainly having this lounge in the front, it makes the front area a usable part of the RV. So that's a very important difference between the 2. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about this unit back here and the kitchen on the Roadtrek. Okay, let's start with this hanging down unit here in the back. I understand the desire for having a full wardrobe where you can have shirts and things like that you can hang. And again, look at your use case. If that's something that you're going to need or want, then having a full wardrobe like that probably is important. But you're going to sacrifice a couple things by having that wardrobe there. You're going to sacrifice that seat that we talked about. But in addition, when the bed goes down, the person sleeping on this side over here is going to have a little problem with this cabinet, because this cabinet comes down. It doesn't come all the way down to the cushion below, but it comes down far enough that when you're sleeping on that side, the passenger side, lengthwise like that, it's difficult to turn, because your feet end up kicking the bottom of the cabinet, the wardrobe that's over your feet. You even have a little bit of that problem over here as well. Okay, so I did not like that on my Roadtrek, and it's one of the things that I vowed I wanted to get rid of. Is I never used that wardrobe. When I camp, I'm not taking dress shirts and things like that. I'm taking t-shirts rolled up and jeans and stuff like that. So that wardrobe was just generally empty, or I stacked it up with some shelves and things like that. But it really was not worthwhile for me having it there, especially for the inconveniences it added to sleeping and getting rid of that seat. And if you look at the Pleasure Way, the Pleasure Way does not suffer from that problem. It's completely open in the back on both sides. There's no cabinet above your feet. There's no part of the kitchen table above the other side. So it's really open, and you get this extra seat over here if you want to use it. To me, that was a big plus. It was a big deal. Again, your mileage may vary. You may find that you want to have that wardrobe cabinet. You just got to do your checklist and then go try these things out, go lay in it and see if it works for you. Now let me talk a little bit about the kitchen since I'm here. On the Ascent, if you look at the kitchen, the only permanent part is this part here. It's quite small, and it has the sink and it has the 2-burner stove on it. There are 2 flip-up counter extensions. So one on this side, which comes out to here, and one on this side, which comes out to here. And that almost doubles the size of your kitchen counter. What I like about, and this is so smart on Pleasure Way's part, but what I like about this setup is I can flip both of the, and I have done it, flip both of those counter extensions up when I need them. I get plenty of counter space. And when I don't need them, they flip back down and they're out of the way, and I have an open space and more maneuverability inside the unit. Now on the SS Agile, you'll see that this part of the counter is fixed, and even this little bit over here over the cushion is all fixed. So it's up all the time, and I just find that wasteful because I'm not going to have a potted plant there. I'd rather just have it open. I'd rather have it smaller so that I have more space to move around. It's already a small unit inside, and then when I need those things, flip them up. So it's a small detail, but again, you need to think about your use case and what your preferences are, but these are the small details that add up. For me, these are the small details that add up. So those are the big deals for me about the interior design and the interior layouts between the Roadtrek SS Agile and the Pleasure Way Ascent. Okay, let's talk about feature set and what you get for your base package. Now, there are some pretty big differences here between, as I understand, the base model Pleasure Way Ascent and the base model Roadtrek SS Agile. Now, again, the caveat is I bought an Ascent and I have not bought an SS Agile, although I have bought a Roadtrek, a 2014 Roadtrek CS Adventurous. But let's go through the basic specs. There are some differences, and we're going to talk about them. So both units run on diesel, both have the same size 24.5 gallon tank, both have a 9-foot 7-inch overall height exterior, 19 feet 7-inch length. Now there are some differences. The freshwater tank on the Pleasure Way is quite a bit smaller than the fresh tank on the Agile. I need to check it really fast. The Agile's tank is 36, so the freshwater tank on the Agile is 36 gallons, and on the Ascent it's 20 gallons, so it's a full 16 gallons smaller. Is that important to you? Don't be fooled. If you're going to be doing a lot of what's called boondocking in this camper, boondocking means you're going to go out, you're going to find some space on the Bureau of Land Management or some state park where you're just going to pull the thing up and there's no hookups at all. You're just going to survive completely self-contained. Then yes, you want to have more fresh water. The more, the better, and also depending on how long you're going to stay. However, if that's not your use case, if you're going to be going to campgrounds where there's water hookups, or you're going to be like me, which is a weekender, or you're using it as a second car or mobile office, take my word for it, even 20 gallons of fresh water is more than enough to meet your needs. So figure out what that use case is. The next one, gray water. It is 15 gallons on the Ascent, and on the Roadtrek it is 20. So you have a larger gray water tank on the Roadtrek, on the Agile. Now again, why is that? That's because you have a larger freshwater tank on the Agile, and therefore you have a larger gray water tank because they believe that the use case is for camping, and if you're and probably for boondocking. And if you're boondocking, you're going to be using that gray water tank for the sinks and things like that. So that's what the gray water tank's for. It's not for the toilet, it's for the sinks. Use case again, if you're boondocking, yes, you'd like to have a larger gray water tank just so you can store more and you can stay out camping longer. Again, my use case is I don't need a 20-gallon gray water tank. My freshwater tank at 20 gallons is already plenty big. Some might even say too large for my needs, even when I'm camping. My gray water tank, I hardly ever fill it up and reach capacity, even at 15 US gallons. I end up, before I dump, I end up turning on all the spigots just to fill it up so that by the time I get to the dump station, it's filled to the top and it's had time to slosh around and clean things up inside there. So for me, 15 gallons is enough. Your mileage may vary. Interestingly, the Blackwater tank on the Ascent is 2 gallons larger, 20% larger than the Blackwater tank on the Agile. The Agile's Blackwater tank is 10 gallons. Now this is one where I have to say makes more sense for me to have a larger tank. Because of the way I use my RV, we use it again as a weekender, I use it as a mobile office. We tend to use the toilet quite a bit. In fact, it's one of our family's favorite things about using the Ascent as a second car. If we are out at a restaurant, as an example, my family will prefer to go out to the RV to use the bathroom in the RV rather than using the public toilets at the restaurant. And it's understandable why. I don't need to go into details there. So having a larger, for me, Blackwater tank is definitely more desirable than having a larger freshwater or a larger gray water tank. So it's a 20% larger Blackwater tank on the Ascent than on the Roadtrek. Another big difference here between the Pleasure Way and the Roadtrek. The LP liquid propane tank on the Ascent is 8.16 gallons. And amazingly, on the Roadtrek, it's huge. It's 16 gallons, twice the size. The LP tank on the Roadtrek is twice the size. Now, here I'm going to give you my thoughts again. I use the LP, or the refrigerator on the Ascent. It's a three-way, so sometimes it uses the LP. If you're driving down the road, it's using the battery, so it switches intelligently. So the heater, the refrigerator, and the stove, and the water heater, and the generator on the Ascent, all can and do run off of the liquid propane tank. Having said that, I have never gotten below 50%. It just hardly, even when it was the winter time in Quebec, minus 30 degrees out, and I had the heater running inside the unit as we were going down the road for the whole day. Well, it was on. I talked about this before. A lot of times the cab heater, if you're driving down the road, will keep it nice and warm in the back. But anyways, it was negative 30 outside. We'd have the heater on in the back. I've never dropped below 50% on the liquid propane. Just never. It would a larger tank, again, if I were boondocking and planning to boondock for a week or 2 weeks, I'd probably want a larger LP tank. But for me, I don't even use the 8 gallons that I have. These are things you need to think about because the marketing people at these companies will try to confuse you and make you think, oh, you need a larger LP tank or you need a larger freshwater tank. And it may turn out to be that you don't need a larger one at all or you don't need it at all. So you need to think about what your needs are before you make these decisions. I find 8 gallons is plenty for me. The other thing to think about here is on the Roadtrek, the generator, we're going to talk about this, the generator is optional. So you have the heater, the water heater, and the stove, and the refrigerator's compressor. So the heater, water heater, and stove. You have less components that rely on liquid propane, and yet they have a tank which is twice the size, which is on the Ascent, I have more components running on LP because the refrigerator's three-way. and I actually have a generator standard, and I have half the capacity, and I'm still, I think it's larger than it needs to be. So just something to consider. Finally, the towing capacity is the same, 5,000 pounds on both. And I believe they both have the 3-liter V6 engine that's new for 2018. 2017, the model I have on the Ascent, it's a four-cylinder, 7-speed transmission. So I get slightly better mileage. You'll get better, you'll be able to tow more with the newer V6 engine on both the current 2018 Pleasure Way Ascent and Roadtrek SS Agile. Now let's look at some other features between the two and the differences between the two, and I want to talk about those. So here we are with the feature list on the Ascent, and I'm going to compare it against the Roadtrek SS Agile. So the bathroom, both of them have a private enclosed bathroom. Have a privately enclosed bathroom with shower. They both have a China toilet. The Ascent has a corner sink. I don't believe there's a sink. I think they took it out of the SS Agile. I think they believe you should use the kitchen sink, so there is no sink. There is a shower head in the wet bath, but I do not. They used to have a pull-out sink in the Agile, and I believe they took that out. If anyone knows, I've been trying to find the answer. If anyone knows the definitive answer to that, I'd appreciate if you would comment down below. But anyways, the Agile, the Pleasure Way, has a corner sink. I like having a separate sink in the bathroom. I know a lot of people say it's wasted space. They can just wash their hands in the kitchen sink. I'm old school. I like having the kitchen sink for cooking and then the bathroom sink for washing your hands and things. That's just me. So keep in mind, the base price is $2,000 more for the Ascent, but you do get a lot more. And here's where it starts making the difference. So on the Ascent, you have these dual touch screen panels for controlling everything on the Ascent. You can control your awning, you control your lighting, the generator, the water pump, retracting the bed in the back and extending it, and all that stuff's all through these really cool dual touch screen monitor panels. The SS Agile doesn't have that. They have the old school controls that are mounted above the sliding door. So kind of the old school rocker switches for turning on things like the water pump and the generator and stuff like that. It works just fine. It's fine. I like having the cleanliness of the touch screens. I don't have the 7-inch color touch screens. I have the smaller ones, but they're still touch screens. I like having everything kind of consolidated into these one touch screens. But maybe that's not important to you. This is a big one, huge one. The Pleasure Way comes with multiplex wiring, and the Agile does not. Now, multiplex wiring is costly to do, but what it does is it reduces the amount of wiring and hence the weight and complexity of wiring behind all of your walls and all of that stuff by half. It also allows you to have things like these touchable control panels where the wire, wherever they're installed inside of your unit, can control everything. So multiplex wiring is a high-end kind of advanced feature, but it's really nice, and it speaks a lot to the coach manufacturer, the fact that they put it in standard. Right. The Ascent has dimmable lighting. I'm not sure. My Roadtrek did not have dimmable lighting. A subscriber told me that the new Roadtreks do, but I'm not sure about that. I thought they were still tap lights. Again, if someone knows for sure if that's the case, I'd like to know. But anyways, they're dimmable in the Ascent. Both units, they're LED lights. This is standard on the Ascent. That's the generator. Okay, the generator, for those of you who don't know, if you're not, the generator is just another system of power generation for your unit. So for instance, if you want to run the microwave or the television or anything on AC and you don't have battery power and the engine isn't started, then you have another source of power. You have the generator. The generator can kick on and then it can power these high voltage draw components like the microwave and cook pot or something like that. Standard on the Ascent. It's an optional package on the Roadtrek, so you don't get a generator on the Roadtrek. This 45 amp converter, both units have a converter. Both units have a inverter. This is a big difference, and I think a plus, huge plus, and I don't know why Roadtrek hasn't done this. The Pleasure Way comes standard with lithium ion batteries, 200 amp hour lithium ion batteries. The Roadtrek comes with standard 2 lead acid batteries, and I've talked a little bit about that in a previous video, but you want lithium ion batteries. Lithium ion batteries are just the newest thing, but the main thing about them is they charge more quickly and they last longer. You can go through many more cycles of charging and discharging, but the most important thing with lithium ion batteries is the discharge characteristics of them, which is you can pull a lot of voltage through them and you will get a consistent level of voltage even as the capacity of the battery is dropping. Lithium ion batteries, the characteristic is they tend to be able to maintain like the 13.6 volts up into the very end, and then it quickly drops off. Whereas with lead acid batteries, there's almost a linear degradation of the batteries over time as you're using them. And what that means is at some point, maybe it's halfway, maybe it's before halfway, as you're drawing a lot of current through and a lot of voltage through it, your voltage will drop, and certain components like your microwave and things like that that require a consistent voltage will just stop working. They'll shut off. And so that's a problem, obviously. So you want lithium ion batteries, and I don't know why Roadtrek hasn't. It is expensive. Lithium ion are much more expensive than lead acid batteries, but they come standard in the Pleasure Way. Both of them have battery disconnect and charge line disconnect. As we go down through entertainment, standard on the Pleasure Way is a 24-inch LCD TV in the back. I believe that's an option it's an option package on the Agile. At least that's how I read it if we go to the Roadtrek page, and if we look at it, you'll see here that there is a Weekender package, which includes a 24-inch LED TV. So all of their option packages include 24-inch LED TV, 24-inch LED TV, 24-inch LED TV, and 24-inch LED TV. So it looks to me like the television is optional on the Roadtrek, where it's on the Pleasure Way, it is standard, as is the Blu-ray player. That's also optional. On the Roadtrek, it's standard on the Pleasure Way. Both of them standard have cable hookup. The Winegard digital TV antenna is standard on the Pleasure Way, and on the Roadtrek, I'm not sure if I believe that's already installed on the roof. It's just not hooked up to a television, but I believe it's already installed on the roof. Both of them have a power awning. Both of them have a hitch, LED light, external 110 volt, and awning style windows. Heating, both of them have the same air conditioner. Both of them have the fantastic fan with rain sensor, and both of them have a standard furnace system. It's good to go there. You look at the cabinetry and all this stuff there. Smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, flooring, and Mcd Shades. The Pleasure Way has Mcd Shades. I do not believe that's even an option on the Roadtrek. The Roadtrek has pleated shades. I prefer the Mcd Shades. They're just easier to maintain. You can wipe them down. The pleated shades are cloth and they can get dusty and things like that, especially if you're cooking inside the unit and there's a little bit of oil in the air and stuff like that. I just prefer the simplicity of the Mcd Shades. That's the choice. You may prefer the pleated shades. The Roadtrek has one up, I believe, on the Ascent in terms of the refrigerator, although the refrigerator on the Pleasure Way is larger by just a little bit. It's 3.8 versus 3.5 cubic feet on the Agile, but the Agile Roadtreks, it's a compressor fridge. That's a big deal. The three-way fridge is okay, but they should just really move to compressor fridge. I'd have to write to the company and figure out why haven't they moved to a compressor refrigerator. There's got to be a reason why they haven't. They both come with microwave ovens, although the microwave oven in the Agile is convection, meaning you can also bake in it. The microwave oven on the Ascent is not. It's just because they put a smaller microwave oven in, they'd have to put more venting in for the convection, taking up more space, so they didn't do it. I had the convection microwave oven in my Roadtrek. I never used it. Although if you bake a lot, maybe you will use it. I don't miss it at all. I use the microwave a lot on both units. I heat coffee, reheat leftovers and things, so I use the microwave a lot. Never had opportunity to use the convection, but maybe you would. They both have the two burner stove, single lever faucet, stainless steel sinks. They both have either Corian or, well, the Corian countertops on the Pleasure Way, and then granite countertops on the Roadtrek, whichever you prefer. I've had both. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. And flip up counter extension. I talked about that earlier. I think that's a better design on the Ascent, the Pleasure Way versus the Roadtrek. You have to see if that fits your needs. Here's another big difference. So they both have on-demand water pump, SureFlow. This is the Truma AquaGo on the Pleasure Way. Top of the line, Comfort Plus. Talked a little bit about this in the previous review. You want it. It's great, and it has the recirculating pump, so it keeps the hot water in the lines circulating. So as soon as you turn it on, you get hot water, and it keeps the water temperature nice and steady. Great system. They do not have that on the Roadtrek. It's just a hot water tank, and all of the features / benefits of a hot water tank, or unbenefits and unfeatures of a hot water tank, however you want to point to it. But anyways, the on-demand is definitely an upgrade on the Ascent. You do have you have the monitors for all those same things. On the Ascent, though, they're all on a digital panel, and on the Roadtrek, they're on kind of a manual thing above the sliding door. An LP tank with power shutoff. There is no power shutoff on the Ascent. You have to manually do it. I like having the power shutoff because we've taken it on ferries before, and they want you to shut off the tank, and so it's very easy for me to just hit a button, and it automatically shuts the gas flow from the tank off, which is on the Roadtrek. I have to get out and turn a dial and shut it off manually. It's just easier hitting a switch. Both the Agile and the Ascent have two 3-point seat belts in back. However, the Roadtrek has an extra lap belt across the center, meaning you can sit 3 across the back belted, and the Ascent does not have that. They both have memory foam, ultra leather, and some type, I believe, of carpeting in the front and the back. So pretty similar, but some major differences in terms of what comes standard in each unit. The other thing that is standard in the Ascent is solar. So the solar panels on the Ascent are standard, and on the SS Agile you have to opt for at least the Weekender package here in order to get the 200 watt solar. Okay, so that getting the additional AMG batteries. Oh, Volt Start is also an option. The equivalent of Volt Start for the Ascent on the 2018s are the Automatic Generator Start, AGS, which will start the generator automatically. Remember, the generator comes standard on the Ascent. So it'll start it automatically when the batteries get low. This allows you to keep the air conditioner on for your pets while you're gone, and if it needs to start the generator in order to recharge the batteries, then it'll do that. Also, the screen door package is an option on the Roadtrek, where it's on the Ascent, on the Pleasure Way, it's standard. Again, we talked about the LED TV. That is optional on the Roadtrek. It is standard on the Ascent. They have a Continental spare tire kit, which I absolutely do not like, stuck on the back of the Roadtrek. They used to have the same thing on the Ascent. They wisely took it away, and they put a really nice tire repair kit. It's basically sprays foam inside it, temporarily patches up the hole if it's not too big, and allows you to drive safely to some service station or something like that, which is where you should get the tire repaired and changed. I do not believe you should be pulled off to the side of the road with a 3,000-pound, 10-foot vehicle jacked up changing a tire. I just don't think that's safe. I think it's better to call the 1-800 numbers that both Roadtrek and Pleasure Way offer to give you roadside assistance and change it. And I just don't like having the Continental spare tire kit on the back of the unit because it makes opening the back doors just that much harder getting in and out. There's one final big difference between the two of these units, and that is the warranty. And I want to talk a little bit about that now. The Pleasure Way Ascent offers a 5-year warranty. You can see 5-year warranty. And that covers anything that Pleasure Way has themselves created. So all the cabinetry, all the build out of the interior, it covers all of that. The chassis itself, which is manufactured by Mercedes, that is covered by Mercedes. That is the same for Roadtrek. So both Roadtrek and Pleasure Way, the chassis has the same warranty. The coach warranty is, I think, significantly different on both of them. So Pleasure Way has a 5-year warranty. It's to cover all of the parts and pieces that Pleasure Way itself has built and installed in your coach. It does not cover your appliances on the Pleasure Way. The Pleasure Way appliances have their own warranties, but none of them are going to be for 5 years. So you should know that. On the Roadtrek, when you look at their warranty over here, their warranty is 6 years. It's a 6-year warranty. And it's unlimited mileage. The Pleasure Way has, I think, 60,000 mileage cutoff. And it covers everything in the coach, not the chassis, but everything in the coach. So anything on the interior walls in the coach part, including the appliances, are covered for 6 years, period. Batteries, microwave, everything is covered. I think it's a much better warranty. I think it speaks highly to Roadtrek that they believe that much in their units, that they offer that. I think Pleasure Way needs to, candidly, hop on the ball. They need to offer the same type of warranty because I've owned both, and I can tell you the Pleasure Way is better built and it will have less problems than the Roadtrek. So Roadtrek is willing to offer a 6-year unlimited warranty of everything inside the coach. There is no reason why Pleasure Way shouldn't feel confident enough to offer the same. I can tell you that it is built to a higher level and they should just be able to offer the same thing. So that is something to consider. Having said that, we'll see. I'm coming up on a year that I've owned the Ascent. We'll see past a year because a lot of the appliance warranties will expire after the first year. And we'll see how, and I don't have the extended warranty. I did not buy the extended warranty on the Ascent. So we'll see how it goes. But there's no doubt that I would have more of a peace of mind with the 6-year peace of mind motorhome warranty from Roadtrek, and that is something to consider. In conclusion, that's our comparison between the Pleasure Way Ascent and the SS Agile. Ultimately, what does it come down to? I think it's going to come down to the exercise you go through around what your use case is and just overall, what is the layout and style that you prefer. For me, I'll be honest with you, the interior style of the Ascent is what sold me on it. I needed and wanted something that felt modern. I wanted something that felt clean and open. Those were things that I was missing in my Roadtrek, just the particular design that I had, which was not open. It felt very closed and claustrophobic. And so I wanted something that felt open, and that's why I chose the Ascent. Having said that, there were other things about the Ascent that fit my lifestyle that perhaps if I was looking to retire and travel around the country and do a lot of camping and a lot of boondocking, I might have selected the Roadtrek over the Pleasure Way because it is more set up for camping in the sense that it's got larger tanks, it's got a larger LP tank, things of that nature. But that wasn't my lifestyle. That's not what I was looking to do. And so having those things didn't matter to me. What mattered to me was having something that looked really nice and really open and modern to me, and at the same time had all these other features about it that were standard and I didn't have to pay extra for. So having the solar panels and the generator and the lithium ion batteries and the TV in the back, and it was just all included in the package. It made it easier for me, and that was important to me. And I should also point out that generally when you go to buy a Roadtrek, it's going to be very rare, unless you order it from the factory, that it's going to come stock. You are going to get a Roadtrek if you go onto the sales lot that already has one of those optional packages installed. So you're already going to get the solar panel, you're going to already get the upgraded batteries, you're going to already get possibly the generator or something else, volt start, you're going to get the TV in the back. So you're already going to have those things, but you're also going to see the price, base price is going to be higher than the Pleasure Way, because once you start adding those packages in, the base price goes up. I don't think it's going to go up substantially. It's going to be maybe $1,000 or $2,000 more than the 129. You're probably going to go up to like 131, 132, something like that. Depending on the package, you can go up quite a bit higher than that if you go for some of the top end packages that have everything. So I guess what I'm saying is the idea of a baseline Roadtrek is more of a marketing ploy, because almost everything that they manufacture and they send out to the dealers have one of those optional packages installed already. So it's so they can say that they're at a lower price point, but the reality is you're not going to find a unit like that. So you should go out, you should look at each one of them. I hope that this video helped you gain an insight into how I was thinking when I was looking at the SS Agile versus the Ascent. They are both really good units. I hope people understand that. What's most important to me is you really understand the value of having a short sprinter, because having a short sprinter just opens up more possibilities for you to use it as a weekend or use it as a second car. You're just not going to do that with one of the larger sprinters. So both the SS Agile and the Ascent are short sprinters. They are both excellent. You should really go take a look at each one and see which ones you prefer, which one meets your lifestyle needs. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask down below, and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.